Hey, buddy. Hey, everyone. What's good, everybody? Today we're talking about the camera that you should start out with. I keep getting this question. I did a podcast about it a little while ago. I don't remember exactly what I talked about, so I might go over some of that stuff again today, but that's okay. A lot of people are asking me the same information. The long of the short of it is you can use your cell phone. The cameras are great on these modern cell phones, but if you're looking to kind of amp up your photography, or maybe you're doing YouTube and you're saying, hey, I want a little bit better of this, kind of like the background separation, or knowing what to do, like, you know, I can get in real close, but then I can see like the stuff in the background here. There's a lot to that. And maintaining the good quality. My recommendation is always start small. You'll have cameras. You're going to hear full frame camera, which is what I'm shooting on, and then you'll have crop sensor cameras. The crop sensors, all it means is it's a smaller sensor. It's much bigger than your cell phone sensor. The sensor is this little thing. This is not a mirrorless camera. This is a mirrored camera. You can see right here. I don't know if it's going to pop up or if you're going to be able to see it, but there's a little, don't ever do this. Don't ever do this, because that's the sensor I'm exposing under there. So this little mirror, this is a mirrored camera. 5 years ago, I think, somewhere around that time, mirrorless cameras became very, very popular. They started to hit the scene. Your phone is a mirrorless camera. There's no mirror, right, that flips up and down. What a mirrored camera does is when your lens is on it, the light will come in. And when you're looking through this thing, the viewfinder, you're actually seeing a real live image, because you're looking through a mirror here that bounces down, and then there's the mirror, and you're seeing what really is existing over there, versus a mirrorless, which is a digital version. Like it's just reading the sensor and showing you a screen. It's like a little TV screen. That's all this becomes, the viewfinder. There are benefits to this versus a mirrorless, but nowadays, especially getting started, I don't recommend the mirrored versions anymore. You can learn really well on a mirrorless lens, a mirrorless camera, and it does a lot of the, I don't want to say it does a lot of the work for you. It kind of does compared to these guys, but it's just easier to transition from like a regular phone, where you pop your phone up, wherever my phone is, and you're seeing what it's telling you is going. You adjust like the ISO, or you adjust the aperture, whatever it is that you can control on the phone, and you're seeing basically what you're going to get. There are ways to do that with this, but with mirrored cameras, usually you'll put it into a mode, you'll press a button, which essentially turns it into a mirrorless camera to see. It's like a live preview. One of the things I recommend, I would say, starting off, get a crop sensor camera. There's so many people that are going to say you have to have a full frame camera and you have to shoot in RAW and blah, 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 and I'm one of them. That's later down the line, and it's not a necessity, but it's more of a convenience for when you're doing professional work. This is the Canon T7i, EOS Rebel T7i. It is a great little camera. If this is all you could get it. But if you can find a mirrorless, Canon has an M50. I would say go with the Mark II. I know a professional that's all he uses. There's a little caveat to that. So here we go. There's so many things. There's so many things to cover. Go with something small like this. The M50, I think you can get it for like $500, maybe $700 or $800, depending on the day, with the lens and maybe even the longer lens. Those are called kit lenses, but we'll go over that in a second. But if you can get yourself a good mirrorless camera, I think they'll probably last you longer. There's so many little caveats to this. Go with a mirrorless camera, okay? There's nothing wrong with these. These are great. But go with a mirrorless camera, a crop sensor mirrorless camera. You'll be able to get one pretty affordable. And the great thing about buying a camera like this is that you can interchange the lenses. So this guy here, this is an EF mount. So Canon has an EF mount. They have RF mounts. Every camera company is going to have a different mounting system. So I can't just take this lens, it's a Canon lens, or it's an EF lens mount. I can't just take this and throw it onto my Sony. I can if I get an adapter, which looks like this. This is where the lens ends. So this is the Canon lens, this is the EF lens, and this is an RF mount to go on the camera that I'm currently filming with. So you can get adapters, and that's one of the things that's just so cool about this, is that as long as you say, hey, I'm a Canon person, you might not know yet, or I'm a Sony person, or I'm a Nikon person, you invest in that company, essentially, that ecosystem. It's like Apple versus Windows. There are reasons why I like the Canon versus Sony or Nikon. One is not better than the other, especially nowadays. They all have very similar tech as far as, like the screens and stuff that flip out. If you're doing YouTube, even if you're just doing photography, I cannot recommend flip screens like this, fully articulating screens. I can't recommend this enough, because let's say you're just taking photos. You're out on the field, maybe you're doing street photography, you're taking photos of birds, whatever it is. When you can either have, this is with it closed, okay, this is with it open, I can flip it around and now I can touch the screen. And then if I wanted to, if I'm taking photos, maybe I'm holding it above my head, and I do this all the time, I can flip this down and I can see what it is that I'm looking at. Or I can be down here and I can flip it at a different angle, and I can be down, squatting down right up against the ground, but I can still see what's going on. So I don't have to get down on the ground. Sometimes I still do it, because what else is photography for? I'll get down and I can play around with this. Sometimes I'll even go around a corner and, like maybe like this. Maybe I'm shooting something down this way, and I've done this. I was standing right next to my car and I didn't want to go out into the traffic. So I went like this so that I could see what it was, because I'm looking here and I can see everything that's down over there. If you're going to look for anything, look for a fully articulating screen. Some camera systems, Sony, I know at least used to just have the screen would be on the back here, and you could kind of flip it and angle it. But that only, I don't know how far it would come out. But I didn't like the fact that you didn't have full articulation, especially because I want to do YouTube. Right now, you can't see it, but my camera is facing me like this, okay? The one that I'm recording on right now. And the screen is like this. So you can't see the screen here because it's facing me. So I can actually see everything that I'm doing. And so this is amazing if you're trying to record yourself for vlogs, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is that you're trying to do, or even just taking photos of yourself, because you can have a timer, you can hit the little switch if you happen to have one. If you're gonna invest in a camera, make sure you don't have to make sure, I would say get yourself an articulating screen. On top of that, don't stress over it, because honestly, any camera that you have nowadays is basically going to deliver everything that you need, especially in the beginning. Don't stress so much on the body. That's what this is, just the camera body. Okay, let's say you only have $1,000. You could buy the body for $1,000 and a cheap lens. I would say get the lens more so than the body, because this you can trade out. These are lifelong. So because this is a Canon lens, I can use this on any EF mount or anything that I buy the adapter for the rest of my life. I have some vintage lenses back there and over there that I have adapters for that I still use occasionally. If you're gonna put your money anywhere, do it in the lens. Like I said, the M50 is a great camera. That uses an M mount, and that's been discontinued. Canon has been focusing over on their RF, which is their mirrorless line, their big regular mirrorless line. The M is a mirrorless camera, but it was kind of their cheaper transition into mirrorless cameras. But you can, like I said, you can get it fairly cheaply. You can get it very versatile with the lens that it comes with. And then you could, if you said, hey man, I really want to get a bigger camera, then you can upgrade and just get that adapter. Adapters are not all created equal, and certain adapters, almost all adapters, they'll give you some different effects that you might not want. So things like vignetting around the edges, sometimes you'll get that. So just be aware, but it's a great way to transition and grow. Let's talk about lenses a little bit. So we've talked about this guy here. This, what I'm shooting on right now, where you see, like, you can see I'm real close. Like my nose is like almost touching this. I don't think it's gonna focus on because it's looking for my eyeball. So well, let's see. Yeah, okay, so I think that's as far as it wants to focus because it's looking for my eyeball. This right here, I'm able to come back. You can see, look at how much, like my arms are fully spread out, right? This is a wide angle lens. So wide angle, so the lower the number, the wider the field of view. So your field of view is this, how much you can see, essentially. So if you look on, let's see, this is a cheap 35 millimeter, and it's cheap, but it works. So right here it says 35 millimeter. Let's see, stop looking at my face. Not you guys. You guys can keep looking at my face if you want to, but like it keeps trying to find my face. So let's see, will this show it? Anyway, I don't, stop looking at me. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or if it's gonna focus, but right there is 35 millimeters. So that tells me that that's the millimeters. So the higher the number, the smaller field of view. Now, to kind of bring this into focus, I'm so funny. You have something like this. So this is a 16 millimeter. So this is really wide angle. So you can see a lot of stuff. This, by comparison, this is a telephoto lens. Not all of them are going to be this big. This will extend quite a bit. So it looks like a telescope. I don't know how much you can see. There we go. Maybe that looks a little better. Yeah, you can see this extends quite a bit. This is a 150 millimeters to 600 millimeters. Now this one is 16. And then, you know, hold on. I'm gonna turn you off. Hold on. And this here is 35 millimeters. So I haven't moved my head's a little bit in a different position, but you can see that that's 16 millimeters. Now this is 35 millimeters. This has pulled in quite a bit. You can't see, look, I got my arms stretched out like I did before. You can't see a damn thing. So you're focused in all the way up on me. I'm very sorry for that. But this is 35 millimeters. So the higher the number, the closer in you get to something. So it's really, really useful. This is 35 millimeters. Just so you know, if I sit right here, I am a full arm's length. You can kind of see my finger. There's my finger. This is a full arm's length. So it's what, 3 feet-ish. I'm 5'8", so it's close to 3 feet. But this is a prime, which we're gonna get into in a second. But before I do, I'm gonna switch back to the 16. Okay, just kidding. I decided to go over to the 50 mil. I'm a little close right now, but sitting right here, this is where I was sitting before with the 35 mil. So you can see it's even more, I'm gonna stretch my hands. You can't even see, maybe my shoulder. You can see my shoulder a little bit. What? This is a 50 mil. So this, if you were gonna be video recording yourself, this is probably a little, if you're gonna be about 3 feet away, this is way too close. Unless this is what you're going for. If you want to show everybody all your pores and your awesome stubble, I mean, go for it. I love the 50 mil, but I don't think everybody else needs to see me in such high definition. So let's now switch it back to that 16 mil. And we're back to 16 mil. So you can see this gives me a much wider range. Like I said, I love this because I can do stuff like this and still, like, you know, talk to you and be real, but I can sit back, I can show you stuff, I can pull this thing up and you can see, like, I don't have to hold it like right here. You know, it's a very powerful lens. Not everybody's gonna need a 16. If you are going to buy one lens, it's the first lens that you buy. Don't buy prime lenses. Now, prime just means that it's one fixed millimeter, like one fixed focal range. That's what I was just showing you. So this is the 16, I can't adjust it. The 35 and the 50 that I showed you, you can't adjust how far those are. There's reasons to get them. They're crisp and oftentimes less expensive depending on which ones you go with. And you can often have a wider aperture, which is something we're not going to talk about here. I have a video wherever they go. I'll link it there for the manual stuff that goes over ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and there's a short that I did for exposure, not exposure bracketing. Guys, I need coffee or something because I'm struggling. Histograms. So that's something you can touch on those other videos. But if you're gonna buy one lens, make it some version of a telephoto lens. This is a telephoto lens. Don't get this. Don't get this as your first one. This is very niche. If you're gonna only do things that are very far away, like birds or nature photography, cool. But you should still have something like this guy. So this is a kit lens. And the kit just means you buy this and it comes with the lens. When you get higher end cameras, you just buy the body. And because they figure, hey, if you're buying that high end stuff, you already have lenses from doing this for a while. Just because it's a kit lens does not mean it's bad. Get something like this. This is 18 millimeters to 55 millimeters. You can see, I can zoom in a little bit, not a lot, but 18. So I'm gonna put this in asterisks, like little air quotes or whatever, because this is a crop sensor camera. The one that I'm showing you right now or filming on is a full frame sensor. So the 16 millimeters is actually going to be closer to, I'm going to pull a number out of my head, 24 millimeters. Basically, on a bigger sensor like this, the numbers, the 16, you get much further than you would if you got like an 18 millimeter on a crop sensor. Still nothing to worry about. The 18 to 55, super great kit lens. And this gives you a lot of versatility. For the sake of it, this is 16, and then we went all the way to 50 on that last one. So you would have somewhere around that kind of zoom differential. So like right now you see my arms and everything, and then 35, you could see like my elbow, and then 50, you are real close. So it's the same kind of thing with this. Super versatile. You get a lot for your money, especially if you're just getting started. If you're able to, a lot of kit lenses will come with potentially another lens. So they'll say, oh yeah, you get your 18 to 55, somewhere around there. And then you can get a 70 to 300, which lets you zoom in even more. That is such a great deal most of the time to get started. Like that gives you so much range. Let's say you're doing street photography. A lot of people love doing street photography. So you have the things where you're walking around and you're like, I want to get this fire hydrant. You're sitting right next to it and you click. Then you say, oh man, the top of that building has a really cool gargoyle. You probably won't be able to catch the gargoyle with this guy, but you could take something that looks like this. So this is a kind of a specialty. A 70-300, it's not a kit lens, but the 70 to 300, the 300, you'll be able to see the gargoyle much better. When you decide that you want to spend some higher end money, I use this one. This is a full frame lens, but this is my shooter that I take on all my jobs. This, I could just shoot with this and be happy. The only thing on top of this that I would ever really desire is, I can't say desire, I desire all the lenses. Like, come on, seriously. The 70 to 24 to 70, and then the 70 to 300. God, like that's so good. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, anything else, let me know. Until next time, be good to each other. Hopefully that comes together. I think that was good. That was good.